So welcome here. If you're not laying down in your back yet, go ahead and just roll out your yoga mat, lay your body down on your back, close your eyes, let your legs and your arms kind of sink down with the heaviness that comes with being relaxed. And focus on your breathing for just a few moments here as you lay down. So if you got the email, today's class is about trimming needs, or just kind of the act of trimming intentionally. So I'd like you to imagine an apple tree as you lay down on your back here. And I want you to imagine this apple tree is in an orchard. And it is able to be plentiful because the farmer prunes off certain branches so that growth is focused in certain areas of the fruit, certain areas of the tree, so that it's even and balanced. And now I'd like you to imagine an apple tree in the wild. Although, beautiful and it's still bearing fruit, the tree in the wild grows wildly. Sometimes a branch will snap off because there's too much weight from the fruit that's gathered on that branch, and while other areas of the tree remain really sparse and not really growing much fruit. I think that life can be similar. If we just go through life without checking in from time to time to do a little bit of pruning, some of the areas might grow wild and not as we had intended them to grow. At times bearing too much fruit, and then at other times bearing too little fruit. So during your yoga practice today, where are you bearing too much fruit? Where are you bearing too little fruit? Is there a calling that is coming from your yoga mat or from deeper within that says to you, why don't you try this today? As like a mentality, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like if you have a mentality to always push yourself in your yoga classes, to challenge yourself, then, imagine that side of the tree, if that's your tendency, that side of the tree's it's healthy. It's got lots of fruit, it's growing good. We put attention there. So what's happening to the other side of the tree, the side of the tree that wants us to be calm, wants us to be relaxed, and wants our yoga practice to be sometimes an act of doing as little as possible in the posture in a way that allows us to show up for our breathing and the mindfulness that can be part of the yoga practice instead of the rock hard focus into working our bodies. And I know that both those two things can be had in different ways. Like sometimes deep focus and intense drive brings people a sense of mindfulness. And I'm just going to say that if you're focused on one thing, try to balance it out today and try to focus on another thing. So that's kind of the two limbs I'm just going to put up today: challenging in yoga or easeful in yoga. How can we find a balance, a marriage of those things? Or if you're always on one side, how do you focus on the other side today? So let's, with that being said, if there's anything that you want to focus on specifically for you, bring that into your practice right now. Let's take a deep breath in as we remember why we're here. And a deep breath out, letting our bodies kind of sink down. All right, I want you to move your fingers and your toes and wiggle. And then I want you to reach your arms up above your head and point your tippy toes long beneath you. So you have a really long kind of pencil dive shape in the body. And then I want you to make a cannonball, drawing the knees into the chest and squeezing the knees in. And feeling the stretch on the back of the legs, low back and spine. And turn over to your side and join me on the yoga mat. So come up into a standing position on your mat. If you're following along with the playlist for class, please press play. It starts with a song called Private Island. I'm sure we could all hope for one of those one day. Shake the legs, shake the arms, bounce a little bit, just get into your body. If you've been laying down for a little bit there. I know some of you have been in Shavasana for about 10 minutes now. So welcome to the standing position. Let the arms be at the sides. Let your spine feel lengthened and kind of tall up towards the ceiling above the head. Make sure that you're feeling cozy, warm, and that when you feel warm, too warm, you can do something about that and kind of remove a few layers and allow your body to breathe. Take your hands together in front of your heart center. Let's create some internal warmth in the body using our breathing. I want you to take a long breath in the nose, filling up. Breathe out through the mouth. You're going to interlace the hands, press down. Look down at the tippy toes. Inhale, reach forwards, look at the knuckles. Look up at the hands, the ceiling. Palms touch together. Exhale, slide the hands down through the middle. Interlace the hands, past heart, push down, and look down. Let's do about 5 or 6 more of these, breathing with movement in the body. So inhale, reaches and rises. Exhale, relaxes and slides back down. You can feel free to breathe in and out the nose, or you can breathe in the nose and then out the mouth. Can you feel a stretch in the palms and the forearms as you press down and reach back up to the ceiling? So notice that sensation in the hands, arms up to the shoulders, palms slide down, back heart center, your own rhythm and flow of this breathing. It doesn't need to be in time with what you see in the video. You're just going at your own rhythm and pace. Inhale, rising up, and exhale, coming back down the center. I want you to do just 2 more of those breaths, rising and coming back down. Feel the kind of rootedness sensation in the feet and simultaneously the lifted sensation in the upper body, kind of like a tree, rooted down, reaching up. All right, now take your hands to your hips after that last breath. Hands to hips, stand with the feet touching. I want you to lift that left knee up in front of you, turn the left knee to the side, and slide that foot up to the calf muscle or inner thigh. Take your hands to your heart center, palms touching. Hey, welcome to class. Good to have you joining. Reach up with the arms. I always like to welcome folks that join a little after the fact. Everybody gets a welcome. Good to have you here, Ina. That is who I see. Ooh, good to have you. Reaching up through the arms, pulling that foot up against the inner leg. And celebrating with a breath in and a breath out. Another breath in the nose. And a breath out the mouth or the nose. Let's take the hands together above the head, push the palms against each other, and feel the upper body. Let's bring that knee forwards, lower the foot down to the floor. Leave the arms up. Let's change sides of our tree. Out to the right side, foot to the inner leg, hands staying up. So back to our intention of class, since we're in tree pose and we're talking about trimming and trees and all that stuff. What is your tendency to practice tree pose? Is it intensity, or is it calmness? Or has it been like a mixture of those things for a while and it feels like you could maybe lean one direction or the other? Not literally, like you don't have to fall out of the pose like I just did, but lean into strength, lean into calmness and relaxation. What is your body's needs right now? Let's move that knee forwards, breathe in, lower the foot down, breathe out. Reach up with the arms, stretch tall above you, and step the feet together if they're not. Interlace the hands above your head, and I want you to squeeze the biceps towards the side of the head so you can feel the arms get active, but just enough to fit with your intention. Side bending up and over to your left-hand side, hips opening up on the right-hand side, up in the hip, side of the abdomen, side of the rib cage, armpit, so you can feel that sensation kind of growing up that right-hand side of the torso, and then anchoring down through the feet. Let's focus on breathing. Take a breath in the nose. And a breath out the nose. Let's inhale and come back up to our center point. And exhale, let's go to the opposite side, up and over, right side. Feel free to change the elbow shape, grab for opposite elbows, and just notice that sensation, shift and change in the body. I'm digging the playlist tonight quite a lot. This is one that I've used a lot for yoga, and it's been a while since I've used it. So it's kind of like coming home to something good feeling as far as the music goes. All right, let's rise back up to the center point. Stick the arms out in front of you, step the feet wide, squat down. And I'm going to share the playlist with Ina just in case they want to use it. We're in powerful pose, folks. Let the hips sit low and find something comfortable and beautiful to gaze the eyes at. Find some appreciation, in other words, for something around you, be it the grain of the wood, of the floor, the warmth in the toes or the knees. Balance the legs, find out where the feet need to go. This is why I think that online yoga is actually really amazing in some instances, because it helps people not be so comparative. When we're in a yoga class with tons of other people in the room with us, we might think, oh, look at the way everybody's doing this. I must have to do it exactly like them. I'm going to just box myself in and be in that shape. Be comfortable, be happy with the way the body is feeling today by going for something that is fitting to your body, fitting to the biomechanics, the shapes. If something feels uncomfortable, shift a little bit. Come out of the pose for a bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rise up. Nice job. Relax the arms for a moment and just relax the legs. Get casual. We're going to lift the heels up. Heels rising, arms level off to the floor still. Heels lift as high as you're comfortable with. And then you're going to bend at the knees and squat down with the hips. If you can't lift your heels, just keep the heels on the floor today. Do another set of powerful pose, the first one. Or just try to lift those heels a centimeter and be celebratory about that fact. Focusing on breathing in and out. 2 more breaths in and out. If you're really lifting those heels, lower them down just a bit, halfway down. Feel the control in the body. All right, now all the way down with the heels, stand up with the legs, relax the arms. Take a deep breath in, reach up. Take the left arm underneath the right arm, give yourself a hug, bend the knees, lift the left leg over top the right leg, and give your legs a hug. So the legs are hugging each other. Squeezing to center. Now I want you to find that balance between, where you need to go. Is it trimming into, this side of the tree or that side of the tree? Is it being active today or relaxed? Take a deep breath in. Exhale, left foot to the floor. Inhale, reach your arms up and look up. Exhale, take the right arm underneath the left arm. Give yourself a bear hug or wrap up the arms. Squat now, bending the knees. Lift your right leg over your left leg. Sometimes our needs need to be trimmed like fruit trees. Sometimes our needs can turn into greeds. That's where, one branch gets so full of fruit, a little too greedy and cracks. Or one branch is too sparse because we haven't put enough attention into that part of our body, into that part of our life. Take another breath in the nose. Squeeze. Last breath in the nose. Exhale, right foot down. Expand the arms, reach up. Hands to heart center. We're gonna have the toes right together. We're gonna bend the knees and squat the hips down and back. I'll show you a different angle of this. So this is kind of the starting position for our twist. Once we're there, we're gonna rotate left side down, right side up, elbow to knee. Palms pressed together and breathe. Find a quality of practice that suits your intention. Active or relaxed, or your own way of embodying that. Come back to center, untwist the spine, reach up, inhale. Exhale, hands to heart. Oh, those twists felt so good for me. We're gonna do the other side. Squat down, twist the right side down, left side up. The reason that twists are feeling so good for me is because I'm actually doing a decent amount of labor in the garden these last few days. Bending over, leaning over, lifting, and twisting and rotating the spine just feels so good after that part of the body gets worked. Let's take a breath in and a breath out back to center. Reach up, rise up, and sweep the arms back behind you like you're doing kind of like a backstroke. You're going to take the hands onto the bum. And you're going to draw the elbows together. Now lift the heart up into the air. See if you can also feel the belly lifting, the hips lifting in your intention of that rising spine. So it's not just in the chest and the heart, but there's like this anchoring of the feet, like the rootedness of a tree, that provides the trunk this experience of rising and lifting, using that anchoring to reach up with the heart, with the branches, opening up the heart, even if it feels a little vulnerable, taking another deep breath in the nose, filling up your whole body with air, and exhale, come on, out of that back bend, lift the heart. Relax and roll the shoulders a few times. Come up to the top of the mat. If you're getting warm and you got to take off a layer, usually the socks are the first layer for me. Top of the mat, step your right foot back. Wiggle back just a little bit so that you're in that nice length of position, balance. Reach the arms back next to the hips, and then lean the chest forwards to match the angle of the back leg. Some people will kind of be here in their runner's lunge, like quite lifted, which puts a lot of compression on the back. We can just lean forwards a little tiny bit, and that's going to help create some space in the torso, in the back. And now sometimes other folks will be doing the opposite thing. I've seen this a lot in yoga classes before, a slump, kind of a slumping down. If that's the case, we want to be a little bit more aware of lifting the spine. So just become aware of your own body. Active back leg, enough to keep the pose, feeling balanced front to back. Now let's breathe in and reach up above the head. Pivot back, right foot, come into warrior two. Arms reach apart. You're going to look forwards and then lunge forwards, knee over ankle. So somebody asked, actually Carla asked in the workshop to kind of re-explain warrior two benefits. And it's so diverse. There's so much going on. We get a stretch across the hips and the groin. We get strength into both the legs in different ways. Front leg is holding this bent leg position, whereas the back leg is trying its best to straighten out back behind you. Now there's benefits of, that are not physical. There's benefits of confidence, knowing to yourself, I can do this pose. I'm here right now doing it, breathing. That's a benefit, that confidence that comes with performing this posture right now. Maybe not performing, but experiencing this posture. We're going to turn the palms to face sideways. Move the front arm down, back arm reaches up above the head, stretching low and high, lunging with the front leg. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, and all the way out. And one more like that. On your exhale, come back up to warrior two. Put the hands in the hips. Straighten the left leg. Heel toe the back leg in just 1 or 2 times, and then step forwards. Step back, left foot. Runner's lunge. Wiggle back, find that length, but the back heel stays lifted above the back toes or so. We can have a little back from there or a little lifted. All right, swing the arms back, and then try to line up the spine to match with the back leg's angle. Neither too lifted nor too slouchy. Goldilocks zone. So some ways that people will do things that are habitual in yoga practices, like they'll get to a certain pose, and then they'll be like, I just need a break. They'll step out of the pose and they'll take a break. When it might not, like a break might not actually be needed. So this is for folks who are always on the relaxing side of their practice. They might need to just say to themselves, okay, now today, no, I'm gonna stay in the pose. I'm gonna challenge my endurance in the pose. And be here holding that shape, feeling those feelings in the muscles, in the joints of the body. Sometimes that's our balance. Sometimes that's where we need to trim. We need to trim away being too cautionary. We need to trim away being too passive. Who knows? It's different for everybody and at different times of their lives. Let's reach up and pivot back, warrior two. Left foot hits the ground through the heel, and you're still lunging forwards, right knee over right ankle. Look over the right middle finger. And then try looking back. Look back over the left middle finger. Feel the neck stretch differently. And let's turn back forwards again. We're not, we don't have to turn our neck backwards all the way. And pivot the palms, move the right arm forwards, left arm up. Press the hand and thigh together and find the expression of your choice, strength or relaxation. Balance in the middle. What is it to you? And come back up to warrior two. Arms level, look forwards over that middle finger or back over the left. Straighten your front leg. Nice job. Put the hands in the hips. Heel toe the back leg in and step your body forwards again. Wicked. Step the feet comfortably apart so that you have a nice stance in the feet. You're going to bend the knees, hinge the bum back, and hinge at the hips so that you can reach down to your big toes. Let's grab onto the big toes with our peace fingers. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, fold the spine, round it. Inhale, lift the heart, lengthen the spine. Exhale, round the spine, fold it. Inhale, lengthen again. And exhale, put the palms on the floor at the top of the mat and step back to downward facing dog, hips up. Inhale forwards to high plank. Grip the floor like you're kind of have the hands on basketballs, really strong through the grip of the fingers. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower the knees, uncurl the toes, lower the chest and belly. Baby Cobra, lift your heart up, inhale. Exhale, lower the heart. Do a hand and knee push-up. And then maybe do more hand and knee push-ups. If that's like daunting to you, maybe that's one of those needs we need to trim, is that it's okay to do hard things. 5 push-ups, 4, 3, 2, 1 more. Nice, downward facing dog, lift the hips up. Walk up to the top of the yoga mat and rise up to standing. Nice job with those push-ups. I know you did them and you rocked them. Step back to the middle of the yoga mat. If you're following along with the playlist, groove in with that sweet, sweet piano. I hope you're digging it just as much as me. This playlist is a good one for me. Let's take the right leg back behind us. Ready to do Toppling Tree. I'm going to go to the wall, pressing that heel against the wall. I love when the drum beat kicks in here. It just gets so groovy at that point. Yeah. So I'm using the wall here to press my foot back into, just to feel that glute muscle working a little bit different. So I'm not needing to tilt so far forwards. I got that leg back against the wall and I'm not tilting very much. Let's come back up to standing in 3, and coming back slowly 2, and 1, both feet on the floor. Let's try it on the opposite side. Right foot becomes posting, left leg goes back, kicks the baseboard heater or the back wall. Lengthen those arms out back behind you and straighten the leg if you can. Sometimes it's okay to get a little groovy in your yoga pose too, and let some freedom into your shape, the way that you're feeling your body. Feeling groovy with the tunes is a great way to start that. Just a little dance on one foot. Snap the feet, fingers, whatever it might be. And come back up to standing on both feet on the floor. Reach up with the arms, inhale. Take the right arm down next to the hip. Kick your right heel back to your bum, grab onto your foot, just anywhere, back behind you there. Then you're gonna press the foot back into the hand and reach up into the sky. And you're gonna find this like bow and arrow like shape across the torso. So it's really expanding, opening back. It's like when the archer pulls back, you can feel you can kind of see or feel that you can see the flex across the bow and that kind of expanding of the wood on that one side. So here we're kind of expanding the torso, expanding the front of the hip on the right side and pressing back, reaching up for 3, 2, and 1, rising up. Nice job. Let's swap the side, arms and legs. Left heel near butt, grab onto the foot. I almost said grab onto the butt. Grab onto your foot with your hand. Don't grab your butt. That's not going to help too much. And we're going to kick back and reach up. Connect with your expression of your practice today. How is it for you today within kind of the intention of trimming needs? Rise back up and lower the foot down to the floor. Relax the arms and shoulders. And let's take the right foot to the inside of the left leg. For our last standing posture, tree pose, hands to heart center. Option to try something different, taking the hands back behind you, grabbing opposite elbows. Or some people will take upside down prayer palms, like this. And some people will take right side up prayer palms. I can't do that. It doesn't work for my wrists at all. I just grab for shoulder or grab for opposite elbows. This feels really great, opening up across the chest and the shoulders. Opening up across the right side hip and groin. Let's take an inhale, move the right knee forwards. Exhale, right foot down. Let's try it on the left side. So we're opening up across that left hip and leg, inside of the thigh, bringing that foot to touch the inner right calf muscle or inner thigh. Hands still back behind you, holding opposite elbows, or upside down prayer palms, pushing the palms together, opening up the chest. All right, relax the arms and shoulders. Bring the knee and foot out of the pose and down to the ground. And we're just going to try our best to find free form movement, whatever that means to you right now. You can close your eyes. I can turn off my video or just step off screen. We don't need to be influenced by each other, but we could be. You know, that's sometimes part of dance and movement. So if it's just moving and reaching, maybe you can imagine like there's an energy in your body and you're just moving with that kind of feeling. And it might be associated with the beat of the music. Maybe there's a bounce in the knees. Maybe the arms move around a little bit and sway and flow. It's all good, especially if you're in your space and you're alone and there's nobody to think about watching you doing what you're doing. And you're just feeling your body. And if it's too weird, that's okay, it's almost over. For 3, just being in your body. For 2, celebrating movement. For 1, and stretching both arms up, reaching up, inhale. Exhale, dive down to the floor. Hands to shins, inhale, lift and lengthen the spine forwards with your breathing. And exhale, let's go down to Shavasana. Coming down into the knees and the hands. Maybe bringing your hands to heart center and just offering yourself some thankfulness for showing up today on your yoga mat. Let's lay down on our backs and get nice and comfy. Love having you here today, folks. So great to have you. Thank you so much for coming, Carla, Jen, Carol, Virginia, Ina. So great to see all 5 of you here joining for some yoga. Notice your beating heart. Take a breath in the nose. Notice your beating heart. Take a breath out. So let's come back to that kind of imagery from the beginning of class. I want you to imagine a tree in an orchard tended by a farmer, trimming when needed, trimming off the dead growth, trimming off the parts of the branches that are growing too long, supporting the branches that are heavy with trellises and stakes, doing what's needed to find balance amongst the tree. I want you to imagine the wild tree just growing willy-nilly all over the place, not necessarily bad willy-nilly, just growing unchecked, this way, growing that way. Perhaps this is just a good analogy for our life. Sometimes when we grow in an unchecked condition in the wild, who knows what's going to come of it? It could just kind of, one day we'll wake up and we're this shape, and who knows why. Or it's just because of the conditions, of our life. But if we take a more active approach, a more active say, and we trim when needed, we decide, this is how I'm going to behave today. This is how I'm not going to behave. Then perhaps the fruit that we bear is plentiful and great in the right ways. And we're sparse in the ways that is needed, like near the base of the tree, a nice solid base, room for people to sit by. you're still digging the tunes, you could do a little Shavasana dancing, just moving, grooving on your back body, foot tapping, head wobbling. We're going to draw the right knee into the chest for wind relieving on that right side. So hug it in, grab behind the leg on the hamstring or on top of the leg on the shin, and then just gently pull that leg into the chest until you feel a stretch on the groin or outer hip. And then, it could be between those areas. So anywhere along the back side of the hip too. Take a big belly breath, letting the belly expand. Exhale, let the belly come back in. So when we inhale, our diaphragm moves down, displacing our stomach and our organs outwardly. When we exhale, the diaphragm moves back upwards, displacing the air, pushing the air back out of the body, and the organs come back in with the abdomen. Let's try the same pose on the opposite side of the body. So just extend the right leg out, draw the left leg in, and interlace those hands wherever you need to, hamstring or shin. Sometimes I want to just speak to something because my hands are hurting from all the work I've been doing with them. Or not hurting, they're just sore. So instead of interlacing the knuckles like this, you don't have to do that if your hands are sore. You can just stack the palm on palm, and that's your way of gripping and pulling in. And it might not, it might seem obvious, but for some of us, it just really isn't. And we're always doing it the same way, just because that's the way we've been growing for a long time, is interlacing the hands. Let's let go of that leg now and hug both legs into the chest. We're going to try happy baby. We're going to lift up the knees into the chest. This is kind of a version that is really accessible, just grabbing both knees. Some people will call this double wind relieving. We can also do happy baby reaching for the feet. So our feet stick up in the air. Then we grab the pinky edge of the feet and let the knees stay into the armpits. This is a groin stretch and kind of a low abdomen, inner thigh opener. I'm feeling it there. Especially when we take a few deep breaths in and out in this posture, we're going to really feel that sensation shift and kind of evolve. Let's let go of those feet and plant them down right onto the floor. Awesome. All right, we're going to just work through a little bit of core stuff. So hands are going to go behind the head, and you're going to actually kind of push the head back into the hands. And it might seem counterintuitive, but what this helps people do is turn off these dominant neck muscles that can crunch instead of our core muscles doing the crunch. So when we do a sit-up, or just a crunch rather, not a full sit-up, we want it to be felt in the core, in the stomach, and the midsection of the trunk, not in the neck so much. So when we're lifting up, if we're really just feeling it in the neck, it means that we're just dominating that crunch into that area of the body, and it's creating tension in the neck. So what we can do instead is press that head back into the hands. We're going to feel our core muscles turn on, or at least I do. I feel my core muscles turn on. I also feel my neck muscles disengage, but they're just engaged enough that it's still stable. Let's take a breath in the nose. Exhale, do a small crunch. Even on your way back down, keep the head pressing back into the hands. Let's do 5 more sit-ups or crunches. Pressing the head back into the hands, last one. This also helps turn on our transversus abdominis. So this is a deeper core muscle that is less on the front of the body. So we have the rectus abdominis, which is very visibly on the front of the body on some individuals. And the reason it's not visible on other individuals is usually just like a genetics thing. Like it's nothing to do with like, some people just really have a very, 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 very low body fat percentage, and you can see a lot of the core muscles because their abdomen is so close to the front of their skin that they don't need to do a lot of work in order to actually see what's going on in the core. It's not actually indicating that they're necessarily really strong or that they're weak or anything like that. It's just some people look different than other people, and that's okay. It's also okay to never see your muscles in the core. And, you know, most of us probably won't see our core muscles visibly in the mirror, and they're still there. They're still amazing and functional. So we're just gonna put our hands on the stomach, just appreciate and love what you got down there. Let's take a deep breath into the stomach, let it expand into the hands. And exhale, let it go. Yeah, let's take another breath in the nose, filling up. And exhale, letting it go. Awesome. Let's turn over and do a little bit of flow. So however you got to get up into a seated position so that you're ready to flow. And then from seated, you're going to get into down dog, tabletop, hands and knees. Curl those toes under and go ahead, lift the hips up in the air. You're in down dog. Inhale forwards to high plank. Exhale, lower both knees. Now lower the rest of the body with as much stability in the core and fingertips gripping the floor as you can. Baby Cobra, lift your heart up. Inhale. Exhale, lower the heart. Hand and knee push up. Shift the hips back over the knees and lift the hips up into downward facing dog. Hips up in the air. Go for more flows or take a break. Take it easy. If your hands are feeling a little troublesome in the wrists or in the knees or anywhere in the body, we can be with that sensation and change up how we're being in our body. We can sit back, we can relax, we can listen, feeling the body. Let's take a breath in and a breath out. You can go through one more, two more flows if that's what works for you. If you're trying that full variation, you're going from high plank to low plank. It's like top of push-up to low push-up in a movement. That happens with the exhale. And we try to stabilize the core muscles as much as we can to draw that body weight, not just into the hands, but across the midsection of the core, back to the feet. This is important to actually have the core and the glutes and the quads working together to produce that equal body pressure across the hands to feet. So we're not just dumping the weight into one side of the body. So you can try this a few more times if you're just kind of getting to know that. And you can always book some private lessons with me if you want to dive deeper into any of this knowledge. And yeah, I'd love to have you do that. Let's take maybe one or two more flows. After you're finished that, we're going to come into Reclining Hero. I just want to respect that some people want to do more flows than other people. So I want to give some time for that. And then at your leisure, come into Reclining Hero. So come up to the top of the mat with the knees, let them come wide apart and touch the toes together, and then lean back onto the hands. Now, sometimes this isn't a very great feeling for some people, and we'll need to just address that with a different sensation or with the same sensation in the quads, hopefully, but a different shape in the body. So we're just trying to stretch out the quads here. That's what we're doing, is stretching out quads. So if you're hurting in the body, try this version instead. Your left leg extends out, right leg bends. This should take the pressure off the knee. Now, another way we can do this is a sideways lying dancer's pose. So you're gonna lay down all the way on your left-hand side. I'm starting to make those old man sounds when they get down all the way up to your side. You're gonna kick your foot back to your bum, grab onto your foot, and just pull back gently. It's those sounds that when sitting down or standing up that I really wanted to hopefully avoid as I get older. So yoga really helps with that because, you know, you can sit down and you can stand up instead of fall down and struggle up, right? Take one more breath in and out. Let's change sides of this stretch. So if you're on the one leg like I'm doing, you're going to just roll over to the other side. If you're doing both legs at the same time, you can come out of the pose early if that's what works for you, or you can just stay in the posture for a little longer if you're feeling okay with it. So even though I can do the other version, I'm doing this one today, and it feels really, really good. So we don't need to just do what we can do. We can try doing other things and then discover what's there when we do those new things. It's a nice kind of way of using the arm too, getting a little bit active in the arm to get the stretch into the leg. And last 10 seconds. And let's release and come on up. So if you're in the double reclining hero or both legs, you're going to come up until you're standing right on your knees. All right. So once we're there, we're going to put the hands on the bum muscles and then draw the elbows together behind the spine and start to feel that expanding sensation on the front of your body again. So we're it's just like that bow and arrow shape, but like in dancer's pose, but we're now kneeling. So we're finding that expansive kind of shape and sensation on the front, stomach, chest, neck, throat. And there's actually an opposite sensation, which some people would describe as an added pressure, an added compression, or an added density in the back of the body. So we're feeling this kind of almost like a firming up of the back body, a feeling of compression, which is feeling like two things are pressing together and there's pressure between them. That's normal and natural. So 2 more breaths in the back bend. It's been proven that a little bit of compression on the spine in ways is very healthy because it tells the spine to, improve bone density. This is all over the body. So when our body is, pushed up against something firm, like the floor, our hips and pigeon or something like that, it's going to help strengthen that bone in the hip, but that's touching the floor, right? Well, let's come up back from that position, let the bum sit down onto the heels, and we're going to come into that position that I was just suggesting, which is pigeon. So we're going to come onto the hands and knees, left leg back, right knee forwards behind the wrist, and just relax that left leg. Next thing you could do is come all the way down onto your elbows, or you could stay up. So I'm going to actually show you the upright version for a bit because it feels really nice for me. So coming up like this and then pressing the shin down, and the back bum muscle actually gets quite active here. And that activation is going to feel like compression in the low back and openness on the left hip. Press the right shin down into the floor simultaneously, just a little tiny bit. Long live active pigeon. Or if you want to, you can come down into passive pigeon. So down onto palms or elbows, or all the way down into your chest. And the sensation can definitely change. Like as I came down, it actually got nicer feeling for me today, which is usually not the case. Do your best to breathe fully in and fully out. Deep breaths for deep relaxation in the body. One more big sigh out the mouth if you can try that. Really just letting it release out the mouth. And then put the palms back down on the floor. Come back up onto hands and knees. Step on back, tabletop position. Let's go to down dog. Feel the stretch in the back of the legs. Press the palms. Walk the left knee up to the left wrist, pigeon on the other side. Relax the right leg back behind you now. It's kind of lengthened and extending back. And then we're going to come up into proud pigeon or lifted pigeon, up onto those fingertips. I usually put my left hand on the outside edge of my left leg on the floor, just so it's not kind of like, too crunchy feeling. Just kind of find some space. Remember, you're pressing both shins down, just a tidbit. Active bum. And then when you feel ready, you're going to come down into passive pigeon. So coming down or staying up in active pigeon, if that's working for you really nicely today. Sometimes our needs need to be trimmed like fruit trees, lest our needs become greeds. This is to say that, if we always practice the same way, if we always focus our attention on the same branch, it's going to become really fruitful. Yep. But we might actually break that branch. Like, who knows? We might actually put too much focus there and other parts of our tree may die. We want to have this sense of balance in our body, sense of balance in our emotions, our life, as much as we can, as much as is reasonable to ask for. Let's come back up onto the hands. Step back to tabletop position, so you're on hands and knees. You can also go to a downward facing dog at this point if you'd like to, and do an additional vinyasa flow. So I'll guide you through that. So lift the hips up into the air if you're taking the flow. If not, just lay down. From there, you're going to move forwards to high plank from down dog. Exhale from high plank to low chaturanga, elbows bent. Inhale, push the body up into upward facing dog. Strengthen and lift your chest, and then exhale back to downward facing dog. Awesome. Let's bring the knees down to the floor and take the legs forwards in front of us. We're going to do our twist laying down today. So go ahead and just lay down on your back. We're going to take the hips and just pick them up and move them to the left. And then the knees go to the right for our final twist. You're going to look to the left-hand side as well, and just let the body rest in the twist. Sometimes people like to have the knees closer to the chest in the twist. So what they'll do is actually start with the knees lifted in the air. So starting like this, and then taking the knees to the right, so that when we get to the twist, our knees are quite high up, and then we're twisting back. And that can feel nice instead of having the legs so far down. We can vary quite a lot of this shape to make it feel different. Just take one more breath in and out the nose. Sigh it out if that's what comes. Lift the body back to center. And if you want to try that variation, give it a shot. Lift your knees up into the air and then let the knees just drape over to the left-hand side. I got to make a bit more space for myself here. So I'm going to hit the wall. Reaching the arm open, right side, and keeping the left hand on top of the right thigh, just to feel a little bit anchored, connecting the top part of the body to the lower part through the hand, touching the leg. Let's go ahead and lift the knees back up and then extend both of the legs to either side, soles of the feet to touch, in cobbler's pose. Arms can reach open to the sides, or you can take cactus-shaped arms. Like if you're in a hold up and you're going to surrender, hands out to the sides. And let's go to Shavasana if we want to, or you can stay in reclined cobbler's pose. If you want to take Shavasana, just extend the legs one at a time. Let the arms expand out to the sides and take space. Maybe even starfish your whole body and take lots of space up on your yoga mat. Sometimes we've been told to stay small for a lot of our lives, and it's time to take up more space. And this is coming from personal experience. I've grown some veggies in situations where they weren't like particularly great ideal conditions, with not much light and too much rain, and too small of containers and all these things. And the plant just is kind of crappy. It doesn't grow very well. And I've also seen and done some wild harvesting and seen things just growing wild on their own, and appreciated that aspect of things too. But I know that when we put effort into something like a crop, when we put our effort and our mind into growing some potatoes and some carrots and some leeks, it's amazing to see what some weeding does. It's amazing to see what some pruning does on your tomato plants. It focuses the growth into the fruits instead of it just growing wild and growing like you don't want it to grow. And we can treat this, and we can have the same mentality into our lives, into our bodies. What are the areas of our lives that we're letting become too wild? What are the areas of our lives that we're not putting any attention to, that are potentially dying off, and that we could still bring a little breath of life into, and it's just a sprout, and just give it some life? Or is your garden just full of like garlic? Like plant some more stuff. Diversify. I can't remember the exact numbers to this statistic, but what the message behind it is that if you take like a 5x5 plot of garden and you plant it and you don't weed it, and then you take another 5x5 plot of garden, exact same soil, exact same plants, you plant it and you weed it, the yield from these two garden plots is drastically different. Like one with the weeding, 100 pounds of groceries or vegetables. One with no weeding, where you didn't touch the weeds at all, like 10 to 20 pounds of vegetables. It's a big difference what we can make with some intention behind our actions. So thank you so much for tuning into the class tonight, for showing up on your yoga mat in your space, and for moving intentionally through a whole hour and thinking and breathing and feeling. I really appreciate you for coming out. Take your hands together in front of your heart. Take a deep breath in. And a breath out. Namaste. Take care, folks.